the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism grilled on issues of deputies' concern. In Vietnam to enhance land restoration. In our world news, Russia to use all means if its sovereignty is under threat.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in for 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Huyền Tân with the top stories. Continuing the agenda of the National Assembly at 7th session, the Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism, Nguyễn Văn Hùng, on Thursday morning addressed many deputies' concerns. Regarding airfares, the ministry is working with the Transportation and Finance Ministries to reduce airport operating costs, lower airfares, and stabilize tour prices. The minister has also requested airlines to increase the number of flights to meet travel demand. In addition, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism has gathered opinions from localities to propose a circular to the Prime Minister on developing the cultural industry in an innovative, competitive, but a sustainable manner. The industry aims to contribute 7% to the country's GDP by 2030. National Assembly Chair Trần Thanh Mẫn suggested that the ministry review and improve mechanisms and policies regarding human resources training in the arts. He urged the prompt issuance of Vietnam's sports and physical education development strategy until 2030, with a vision to 2045. Additionally, he emphasized the need for increased investment in the culture of ethnic groups in mountainous areas. Now, also on Thursday morning, Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà answered questions from National Assembly deputies on behalf of the government related to price management, food safety assurance, institutional reform, and administrative reform.
Praising the government's recent efforts, National Assembly deputies expressed their hope that the government will continue to find effective solutions to control inflation and ensure a power supply network that attracts investment.
Wage increases will start from July 1st. What does the government plan to do to control prices in the coming time?
The government will soon issue policies to stimulate consumption, promote public investment, and invest in essential infrastructure to ensure economic development.
What is the government doing to ensure power supplies for production and investments?
With the government's urgent direction, Vietnam has implemented electricity projects and removed investment bottlenecks. The 500 kilovolt Circle 3 project is about to be completed and will remove difficulties in power regulation. The government is also developing a process for purchasing and selling electricity, especially renewable energy.
Deputies also raised questions related to economic development priorities and technology development solutions.
What is the order of priority among the government's solutions to realize the dual goal of harmonious economic and social development?
The first is to ensure economic development to create more jobs. The second is to support people in vocational training. In addition, the government will focus on ensuring investment effectiveness in all areas. Disbursement of public capital will improve the economy's competitiveness. These solutions must be directly benefit the public while promoting economic development.
After 2.5 days, National Assembly Chair Trần Thanh Mẫn assessed that the Q&A sessions had met practical requirements. He said that the sessions affirmed their necessity as an effective form of supervision by the National Assembly, based on questions from National Assembly deputies and answers from government members. The National Assembly Standing Committee will direct relevant agencies to prepare draft resolutions for submission to the National Assembly for approval.
Within the first 5 months of 2024, the average consumer price index, or CPI, increased by 4.03% over the same period last year. The CPI in May increased by 4.44% and became the highest increase of the same period in the last 5 years. This has contributed to a pressure to keep yearly inflation below 4.5% set by the National Assembly. However, it has been confirmed that this development was predicted according to the inflation response scenario.
If before Tet, 1 kilogram of pork belly cost about $4.33, then now the same portion costs around $5. Consuming an average of 2.5 kilograms of pork per month, Vietnamese consumers are paying about $2 more per month than the start of the year. This is due to the African swine fever causing the decrease in the pork supply.
Small traders import 3% less pork compared to the period before Tet, while the price rose to 10%.
If pork becomes more expensive, consumers can replace it with other food, but electricity can't be replaced. In record hot days in May, the amount of electricity consumed per day exceeded 1 billion kilowatts per hour, pushing up electricity costs and strongly impacting the consumer price index.
For the inflation part, for April data, if we look at inflation, it rose 4.4%, so almost breaching the 4.5% ceiling. But if we really look at the breakdown, I think there were also some base effects coming into play as well.
The General Statistics Office has created 3 inflation scenarios. Accordingly, if the CPI in 2024 increases by 3.8%, inflation will increase the most in the first half of the year, then decrease in the remaining period. In the 4.2% and 4.5% CPI scenarios, inflation will increase in the first 2 quarters and decrease in the third quarter, then increase again in the fourth quarter when production and consumption activities before Tet increase.
We should closely monitor market prices, especially for important and essential items, and propose creating price adjustment scenarios in accordance with market price developments and some state-priced goods.
Most recently, publishers have announced a reduction in textbook prices by 10 to 15%. The cooperation of businesses in keeping the price level stable will also vitally contribute to dealing with inflation from now until the end of the year.
Recently, there has been a sharp increase in coffee prices in the Central Highlands region. As a result, households in the Central Highlands are rushing to plant new crops, leading to a 3 to 4-fold increase in the prices of coffee seedlings. At this time, the price of coffee seedlings in Dak Lak province ranges from 28 cents to 51 cents per seed-grown plant and from 63 cents to over $1.1 per grafted plant, depending on their sizes. And even at such high prices, farmers are still not guaranteed to buy quality seedlings. For instance, coffee seedlings are already sold out at the Central Highlands Forest Science Institute, even though the institute produced over 2 million seedlings this year, double the amount produced last year. Fruit and vegetable export turnover continues to maintain a growth momentum, exceeding the $2.5 billion mark in the first 5 months of this year. Many expect fruit and vegetable exports to break the record figure achieved by the industry in 2023.
Although it's early June, this factory has already signed an export contract for the rest of the year. According to businesses, many key export markets have increased demand for fruit and vegetables.
We have had a surge of orders from both the EU and Japan. We aim to reach the milestone of $45 million this year, which means a growth rate of 50% compared to last year.
We have just signed a contract with a partner from New Zealand to buy chili, mango, and corn. We are urgently preparing supplies to deliver to customers.
As of early June, Vietnam's fruit and vegetable export had earned over $2.5 billion, up about 26% compared to the same period last year. That growth rate is due to the industry's success in trade promotion. Farmers and businesses have strengthened links to ensure abundant sources and meet export standards.
We continue to connect businesses with farmers and cooperatives in raw material areas to ensure market requirements and increase fruit and vegetable output and export value.
The negative impact of El Niño phenomenon has reduced the global supply of fruit and vegetables. For less affected countries like Vietnam, there will be many opportunities to boost export turnover. This will be one of the many factors driving the sector to its goal of surpassing the $5.6 billion of export turnover last year.
Now, in 2023, the trade turnover of the Red River Delta region reached over $260.88 billion, the highest among the 6 economic regions, accounting for 38% of the country's trade turnover. Currently, localities in the region are entering the 2024 summer fruit harvest season. Businesses and localities have implemented many solutions to link exports and maintain the region's trade position.
With the strength of egg-shaped lychee, fresh and processed longan, after 5 years of testing and investing in the production line, this enterprise is looking for partners to export agricultural products to Japan and the European markets.
Longan exports are mostly by air due to its small harvest output, which is staggered in each growing region.
This company has exported fresh lychees to more than 10 countries. This year, they plan to export more processed lychee products to increase export value despite decreasing output compared to previous years.
We support farmers in producing high-quality lychees for export to high-end markets and promote deep processing, such as fermented juice. In addition, we are researching the use of lychees in oriental medicine.
However, capital and technology are still barriers for farmers and cooperatives, so promoting regional linkages will solve challenges for raw material areas and agricultural product processing.
Our locality needs businesses to invest in the deep processing of agricultural products and logistics trade infrastructure.
We will promote linking production on large-scale raw material areas. For example, localities with the same strengths and products will link up to develop from the raw material area. Therefore, they can develop businesses in a cluster to promote regional strengths.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade encourages local export enterprises to diversify modern trade promotion methods through international e-commerce platforms. For example, live streaming is an optimal way to promote their brands effectively.
Now, before we move on to other important updates, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, June 6th. Coming up next on VTV News. Vietnam to enhance land restoration. And new river tourism route from city center to Hưng Yên opens. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, this year, World Environment Day theme is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. This topic is especially meaningful for Vietnam, where nearly 36% of the total land area is affected by degradation and fallowing, leading to a desertification. Now, over the years, the country has had solutions to protect its land quality, but it still cannot compensate for the ongoing rate of degradation.
For many years, Bùi Thị Hồng Hà has persistently taught people how to ferment probiotics to decompose straw, contributing to the preservation of soil.
Burning straw leads to land degradation and can destroy microorganisms in the soil layers. Fermentation of straw provides more microorganisms, thus contributing to land restoration and pest prevention.
Vietnam does not have good natural soil quality. Fertile black soil covers almost the entire territory of Russia, while in Vietnam the red basalt, which has the same fertility, accounts for less than 10% of the total natural land area of the country.
Pollution and land degradation in areas located around large open areas are gaining speed very quickly. We have also seen an increase in landslides occurring in mountains.
Two main solutions to reduce the rate of land degradation are the National Plan for implementing the Glasgow Leaders' Declaration on Forest and Land Use and reinforcing the Law on Environmental Protection 2020.
We promote sustainable trade of forest and agricultural products, avoiding emissions shifting that leads to land degradation.
We are focusing on building a national target program to solve our three major problems: household solid waste, wastewater, and emissions.
To define agriculture as the support pillar of the economy, Vietnam needs to deploy more measures to restore land.
With its terrain being a peninsula, Cà Mau province constantly faces the risk of landslides. Approximately 200 kilometers, which is over 80% of the local coastline, has been eroded. Due to climate and hydrological changes, the risk of landslide is becoming more severe. To address this situation, local authorities have implemented numerous anti-landslide measures in recent years. To date, these measures have proven effective.
This embankment was built about 10 years ago in a high erosion risk area on the west coast of Cà Mau province.
In 2010, before the construction of the centrifugal embankment, erosion was severe. Since its completion, mangrove trees have regenerated, providing protection to the inner area. These mangroves currently stand approximately 4 to 6 meters tall, lining the embankment.
On the East Sea coast, where significant waves, strong winds, and large tidal amplitudes are common, erosion is even more critical. Over 10 kilometers of sea embankment in this area has effectively demonstrated its function.
Landslides can lead to at least 1 hectare of forest loss per year. However, a centrifugal dike has helped eliminate this situation.
After numerous experiments, Cà Mau has discovered a solution to construct a centrifugal dike to mitigate waves and improve the alluvial ground. This solution involves driving 2 rows of centrifugal piles deep into the seabed. The spacing between the 2 rows of piles ranges from 1.5 to 2.5 meters, depending on soil conditions and wave height.
There's no connection between the boulders and the 2 rows of piles, indicating that the embankment doesn't directly resist waves. Instead, we allow the waves to flow over the top of the embankment, diminishing their force.
Owing to the efforts of the locality, the support of the Central Party and international organizations, Cà Mau has constructed about 60 kilometers of sea dikes with a total cost of over $78 million. However, more anti-erosion works are needed to protect an additional 100 kilometers of the province's coastline from landslides.
Cao Bang continues to experience an intense infestation of yellow-spined bamboo locust. The province is considering an epidemic declaration in several districts. In some areas, locusts have been in the fields for 7 to 8 days. After spraying pesticides, new swarms arrive, severely affecting the maize and rice cultivation areas. Preliminary statistics show that the total infested area in the province is over 449 hectares, with a common density of about 1,000 locusts per square meter. Some areas recorded up to 8,000 locusts per square meter, which is 7 to 8 times higher than last year. The Provincial Department of Agriculture and Rural Development may declare an epidemic in Nguyên Bình, Hòa An, and Thạch An districts. At 3 p.m. on June 5th, the fishing vessel QN90028TS, captained by Nguyễn Văn Phú, residing in Quảng Ninh province, along with 2 crew members, was taking water and in danger of sinking. The emergency occurred while they were fishing in the small Cô Tô area, approximately 5 nautical miles from Cô Tô Island district. Immediately after receiving the news from the local populace, the Cô Tô Border Guard Station promptly dispatched a vessel, a 500-horsepower motorboat, and 10 officers and soldiers to the scene to conduct a rescue operation. Border guards and nearby fishing boats successfully located the sinking vessel and rescued all 3 of its crew members. Initial investigations revealed heavy waves driven by strong winds flooded the engine compartment. As the vessel's pump could not cope with the volume of water, the fishing boat began to sink. Thanks to the timely response of the Koto Border Guard Station and the local fishing fleet, the crew members were successfully rescued, and the vessel was towed to a safe anchorage. Now, in recent years, the payment policy for forest environmental services implemented in Điện Biên province has increasingly encouraged people to participate in forest protection. In addition, the payments have been used reasonably to improve the lives of local people. More in the following story from Phie commune, a disadvantaged commune in Điện Biên Đông district.
Since the cultural house was built, the art troupe of Phie B village, Phie commune, Điện Biên Đông district, Điện Biên province no longer have to find a venue.
We used to gather at someone's house and turn on our phones to practice. Now we have a cultural house, so practicing here is more convenient. There is a speaker and it doesn't affect anyone.
The total cost of building the village's cultural house was nearly $4,000. We used Forest Environmental Service payments to build it, and businesses supported us.
In this village, the cultural house cost about $4,700 to build, of which $400 came from the villagers. The government pays the villagers this fee mainly for patrolling or vegetation management to prevent forest fires.
Vegetation management removes or modifies live and dead vegetation to reduce the potential spread of wildfires.
In our village, everyone is educated about protecting the forest. Protecting the forest is for ourselves and our children. Since the government paid us money, we are even happier because that money helped build the village's cultural house.
Forest environmental services are funded differently in each village. For example, some villages receive up to $2,700 per year, while others receive less than $400. Some socio-political organizations and businesses join forces to build cultural houses for the villages.
With a spacious cultural house, the people of Phie B village have a place to gather, and children also have a place to play. The villagers are excited and hope to plant more forests and increase forest environmental service fees. Therefore, it can contribute to a common fund to help each other.
Hanoi is set to complete a new river tourism route from Thương Dương Độ Pier to Bát Tràng, Ninh Sở, Thường Tín district and Hưng Yên. Additionally, efforts to expand river tourism products will continue. Hanoi will also finalize 2 cultural and craft village tourism routes this year. One is from the center of Hanoi to Thanh Trì, Thường Tiến, Phú Xuyên, and another from the center of Hanoi to Thanh Oai, Ứng Hòa, Mỹ Đức. The city is also developing new unique tourist destinations, capitalizing on Hanoi's cultural and sports assets. These initiatives are part of the Hanoi Tourism Development Plan for the period 2016 to 2020 and the following years, with a focus on the 2024 to 2025 period. The goal is to attract a larger number of domestic and international tourists to Hanoi. By 2025, Hanoi aims to welcome and serve over 30 million tourists, including over 7 million international tourists, and gain a total revenue of over $5.1 billion from tourism. Coming up next in our world news. Russia to use all means if its sovereignty is under threat. And the world hits 12-month streak of record-breaking temperatures. Now moving on to our world news, Russia will use all means at its disposal if its sovereignty and territorial integrity are under threat, Russian President Vladimir Putin said at a meeting with senior editors of foreign news agencies on the sidelines of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. He said that Russia's nuclear doctrine permits nuclear weapons to be used in a response to several threats. The Russian president emphasized that this should not be treated lightly. This, he stated, should be treated with professionalism, adding that Russia has no plans to attack NATO member states. Yemen's Houthi group on Wednesday said it has launched missile and drone attacks against 3 ships transiting the Red Sea and Arabian Sea, the group's military spokesman said in a statement. They conducted 2 operations in the Red Sea targeting the Rosa ship and the Vantage Dream ship with a number of missiles and drones. The spokesman accused the 2 ships of violating the Houthi regulations of prohibiting ships from docking in Israeli ports. In addition, the Houthis also announced that they used UAVs to attack the U.S. ship Maersk Seletar in the Eastern Arabian Sea. The Houthis have repeatedly affirmed that they will carry out military operations to support the Palestinian people until Israel ends its military campaign in the Gaza Strip. The World Health Organization, WHO, has said a man's death in Mexico was caused by a strain of bird flu called H5N2 that has never been found in a human. According to WHO, the 59-year-old man who has been hospitalized in Mexico City died on 24th April after developing a fever, shortness of breath, diarrhea, nausea, and general discomfort. There had so far been no evidence of people-to-people transmission of bird flu in the man who died, or that he had prior health conditions. The WHO said on Wednesday that it wasn't clear how the person became affected. The world has now marked 1 full year of back-to-back monthly heat records, the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service announced on Wednesday. It said last month was the hottest May in recorded history, the 12th consecutive month in which the monthly high temperature record was broken. More in the following story.
Each of the last 12 months has ranked as the planet's hottest on record in year-on-year comparisons. The run of exceptional heat pushed the average global temperature to its highest since records began in 1940. Carlo Buontempo, C3S director, said the extremes were in line with climate scientists' projections of how pumping greenhouse gases into the atmosphere would change the climate and that the coming period would likely be hotter.
We have not seen anything like this in the last several thousand years. We don't know when this sequence will end. Maybe in the next few months, it may last a bit longer. At some point, just because of the natural variability, this tendency with this streak of records will inevitably break. But this won't change the picture. So we are bound to see this temperature being exceeded in the future. The average temperature of the next 5 years is very, very likely, almost certainly, warmer than the average temperature of the last 5 years, and this will continue.
Copernicus reported that May's average temperature was 1.52 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average, while the global average temperature from June 2023 to May 2024 was 1.63 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average.
In a sense, I like the idea that if we really work hard and we put our act together globally and we manage to get to net zero and stabilize the concentration of greenhouse gases, we may still have a chance by the end of the century to get as cold as now, in the sense that from now on, it will be warmer.
In a separate report, the United Nations World Meteorological Organization said there is now an 80% chance that at least one of the next 5 calendar years will be the first in which the planet's average temperature temporarily exceeds 1.5 degrees Celsius for a full year.
Now let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app at VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.